What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trading Decoded. It is February 20th, 2024, and it's 4:07 in the afternoon. Market is closed. Thank God. Morning was fantastic. If you had a little bit of patience, up till about 12 o'clock, you had some decent opportunities. We found quite a few of them. I think 3 to be exact. And many people took advantage of all 3 of those. Some of us only took advantage of 1 because the first trade of the day provided one hell of a one-and-done opportunity. Everything after 12 o'clock, guys, we're not even going to talk about because there was nothing to talk about other than why you shouldn't be trading the chart after 12 o'clock. But I know how it works. You didn't make enough money. You were busy at work. You didn't get to take enough trades, blah, blah, blah. I could tell you one thing and one thing only. After our first trade of the day, our green-red poll was 10 to 1. 10 greens for every 1 red. Right now, it's 3 to 1. I am not even all surprised about it. Sorry if you guys could hear that helicopter in the background. I'm not at all surprised about it. But I'll tell you this. There are some things that you really, really, really need to learn to understand if you stand a chance, if you think you're going to stand a chance in this business. And one of the most important things is knowing when not to trade. Okay? When not to trade. I'm not going to get into the fact that the more trades you take, the more risk you're putting on yourself, and the more likely you are to destroy your winning rate. We're not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about when not to trade, right? When the couch is in the kitchen, investigate before you jump in and run into your house, okay? That's all I'm saying. If you don't know what that means, watch more of my videos. With that said, let's go ahead and launch the chart. Take a look at what Spylita was doing today, and we'll talk about our call put scenario and what we were looking to get out of these trades. Okay, so pre-market range was spotty at best. You look at this now. When I wrote the SPY analysis this morning to share with our group, I didn't quite call it a couch in the kitchen scenario because we were moving within specific ranges on SPY, but we called it a picture missing off the wall. So not quite as a big a deal as the couch being in the kitchen, but the picture off the wall, you should still take notice of it and be on alert. So we were aware that the pre-market chart looked a little low volumey, kind of gappy and everything else. So playing right out of the open for me was not really something I was excited to do. So I didn't. Furthermore, I said that I was going to be a lot more hesitant about playing to the upside today, simply because we had very little proven price action that I look at to justify playing from our call line up to 498.39. Okay. In fact, we had resistance just above that white line at 498.28. And if you're going to take that trade, and you wouldn't have taken that trade because there's not a 20-cent move between that resistance and this teal line. So we all agreed it's going to be risky to play calls unless you played them at the open, which I wasn't going to do. But if we get above that line, I wouldn't, and you're playing line to line, it's barely a 20-cent potential. Barely. And there was almost exactly 20 cents worth of movement here. Okay, so not worth the trade. It's not something that I took. However, I was very interested in a breach below our put line, 497.42. That's all we had to do was wait. That's all you had to do. Some people made money on the upside. Some people bought puts up here. I wanted a reason to take puts. And crossing that line was that reason. Guys, these are things we talk about 9:25 every single morning. We come up with these white lines, which are our call and put lines. Okay? Now, there's reasons that I want these lines on my chart because they are my starting lines in my, to get into my trades. I'm preparing myself to do what I'm planning to do before I have to do it. So there's no hesitation. I told everybody before the market opens, hey, I already got puts queued up. It's not a bias, but this was when we were below our pre-market midline. And I said, if we get above the pre-market midline, I'll have calls queued up. And then I'll make a decision as we move closer to that line. Okay? So if you decided to play the breach of this line and you took it to the next line, you made money. I did not take that trade. Then when we got back below the halfway point, I had Qs back on put again. Or I'm sorry, puts back on Q again, meaning I had the order ready to go so I could execute when it was time. Now, what was weird, but seeming to be more and more regular these days, was although Qs at this time had a nice sell-off going on, we wanted to see Qs get below support levels. So at 938, as you could see, Qs were coming down to their pre-market low line, which they hadn't yet gotten below as of 7 o'clock in the morning. So that played a role in my willingness to be a little bit more aggressive on my entry. So I did get in when we were supposed to. I just got in a hair early here on this candle. Some people waited for the candle close. In either event, we were looking for the move to go at least to our first line down at 496.92. Okay? That's about a 50-cent move. Now, the reason I held on to this trade till we got to just beyond this yellow line, somewhere, I didn't make it to the futures line, but somewhere in between those lines, was because look at the Qs. If we're looking at the Qs and they're breaking through levels of resistance, or support rather, I look for my Qs to stay in these trades. Okay, I'm looking at this chart as much as I'm looking at this chart when I'm in my trade. Okay, because a lot of times the Qs are going to tell you when you need to get out. So I was telling people at 940, hey guys, Qs are on support, just giving you a heads up. If you want to hang on to this, move your stops down. Don't rob yourself of a potential move to continue down, but just know that every time we hit these levels of support, I'm going to let you know that Qs are on support again. Doesn't mean you got to get out. Okay. Now I got out, Qs broke, SPY broke through support here. And when we got to this candle and started to push down, I said, I'm getting out of this trade, announced it to God and everybody while I was in it, and watched it go down a little bit more. But I don't care. You know why? Because I made 61% on that trade. 61% in about, 3.5 minutes. That was a one and done for me. I had no interest in taking any other trades on the day. But why, Jimmy? You could have made more money. Yeah, you could have. You also could have lost some of what you made. This is one of those scenarios where I tell people all the time, guys, I don't get trades that often that work out to be that clean with that big of a return. My trades are usually much, much smaller than that. Okay? So when I get a gift like this, I'm extremely happy. And the only place that I can go from there, if I allow it to happen, is less happy. I'm not going to be more happy if I take another trade and make more money than I already did on that trade. No. But if I take another trade, even if I end up still profitable on the day, I'm going to be less happy about the fact that it's not as much as it once was. That's why I walk away. That's how I walked away. I didn't pick up to make another trade on the day. Didn't even look at a chart other than this one right here in front of me. Never queued up another trade. Nothing. A lot of people did the same thing. And at the bottom of this run right here, we had a 10-to-1 win-to-loss ratio. 10-to-1. 6 red trades by 941. And 67, something like that, 64 green trades by this time. And we were talking about it, and we also talked about how it was going to get much worse as the day progressed, because that's just what happens. Anyway, after we got that trade, there was nothing to do. But we had some people buy the pullback here. It was not a recommendation of mine, so there's no white arrow. But as we started to move down, I want you guys to take note. At 10:13, what was Qs doing? Qs were still lagging down. So we were trying to acknowledge SPY being on a support level. That's it. So I was letting people know, hey, if you got in here or a break below here or played because we got below this double bottom, line to line, just a reminder that we're coming down to support. That's it. The only other trade that we talked about was people asking me, well, Jimmy, when would you buy puts? I said, I really wouldn't buy puts unless, certain things are continuing. Mainly I want to see ADD going down. And that's the other thing. ADD this morning was going up instead of down. Okay, it's going up instead of down. It's uncomfortable to trade anything when ADD is moving in the opposite direction of Qs. You've got to figure out who is winning the drag race, right? By the time we got to our put line, I had told everybody, guys, Qs have control of the market right now. If we get down to that line, I'm taking my puts. That's all I said. And I'm just sharing my thought process in real time with people, okay? If you didn't take the trade in your mind group, don't be upset. Don't be upset. You're only upset because the trade worked. If it didn't work, you'd have been happy you didn't take it, right? And this goes for everybody, anybody, in any trading group or anything that you're doing regarding trading. If you do not feel comfortable putting on that trade because of things that make you feel that way, that is not related to somebody else, an indicator or anything like that, please don't take the trade. And the reason for that is that you will mismanage it horribly if you do. I used to call out my trades in advance, and even though I would make money on those trades, there were more people losing on those trades. Why? Because I was getting in when I was comfortable and I was getting out when I wanted to. But when I wanted to was not a comfortable spot for them because it wasn't enough money. So they'd hold on to the trade longer. The trade would do exactly why. It would do what got me out of the trade, meaning we hit support. I get out on support. They hold on to it, hoping that support fails so that they can make more money. It turns around and goes in the other direction. And now all of a sudden, that once was winning trade is now a losing trade. Okay? Call out services don't work. The only way to remove hesitation and do well in this business is if you're confident in what you're doing. That's what we're trying to teach you how to do in here, not to copy somebody else. I don't want a group full of dependents. I want people who can stand on their own feet, because if you choose to leave after being able to walk, I won't have any fears about you needing crutches or you falling over and smashing your head on the ground because you can't walk. Okay? So please only take trades you're comfortable taking. Now, with that said, people were asking me, Jimmy, where would you be interested in calls? I said, truthfully, I'm not taking any more trades today, but if I were going to take a trade today, I'd want to be a minimum for me above 497.30 on SPY. Minimum. We never got there because that's the next resistance up. And by then I would feel like, hey, the buyers have a little bit more control. We can give it a shot. But I also gave an aggressive opportunity because we have people who chomp at the bit and can't stand to not do something with their money besides leave it alone. Said, but if you're playing aggressively, if we get above 496.92, now this is while we're down here, 496.92, I'd be interested in taking calls there as an aggressive entry, looking for 497, that same resistance here. Line to line, it's no different. We're getting above support or above resistance, running it right up to support. Some folks took that trade. Some folks held on to that trade. I can't help you. I can't help you. If you don't want to respect proven resistance levels, I don't know what to tell you guys. I know we all want more out of these trades, but I'm not willing to risk going against proven fact because I hope to make more. If I decided to take that trade, I would have taken myself out at that level, unless there's a very good reason not to. Qs busting through resistances, ADD taking off on a rocket ship, something to show me momentum should continue. Nobody knows if it's going to continue, but there are things that we'd like to look at that would have us believe that maybe it's worth trying to hold on to. Now, in a trade like this, we had already had a 50-cent move. You have the luxury of waiting to see if it moves lower because you're still pretty good into profit. Even if this support holds and pulls back a little bit, you're still up 20%. Okay? But in a move like this, going from this line to that resistance, there is no room to wait for a pullback. You get in, you get out. Otherwise, you face this. Okay? Now, somebody was asking me, okay, Jimmy, well, if you wouldn't buy calls until we got above 497.30 or whatever that number was, 29, Where would you buy puts again? I said, well, now we have multiple criteria that need to take place for me to play puts. Number one, I want to see SPY below 496.19. Right here. I wanted to see SPY pull back, get through a couple levels of support. That's criteria number one. I'd like to see ADD moving downward. And more importantly, I wanted to see Qs. What time was this? Because we weren't above it yet. 11:33. I needed to see Qs back below this trifecta. So three things. I want ADD going in my favor. I want Qs below those three lines of support and resistance. And I want SPY below a specific number. That's it. Again, very clear about the fact that I wasn't taking another trade. But I'm willing to tell people where I would if I was interested in doing so. Okay? So, the very first time that that takes place with all of those things true is right here at 11:55. That's why there's an arrow there. I know it seems in the middle of nowhere, but we got through this line of support right here. With a candle close, aggressive is not waiting for the candle close. That's totally up to you. Qs at 11:30, at 11:55 were definitely below their resistance lines with potentially a lot of move to go. Guys, we had these lines already. We're saying, man, if Qs can get through 11:42, the next support level down we have is all the way down to 423.81. That's a long way to go. Okay? So I wanted to see resistance hold here. I wanted to see this support actually be gone, which was awesome. And we'd be looking for the move to run down to the next support. Fine. That happens here. Where do we get out? Well, you could have got out right here because that's where the support of the day on SPY was. Fine. Not a huge move. Reminding everybody, hey, if you got in up here, you got out here. Nice, clean, easy trade. Took you about a minute and a half to make that money. Otherwise, you might be of the mindset that because we closed below support, we're expecting to move down to the next support. That's great. If we're going to see that happen, we need to see the Qs continue to trend down. That's all. This is here for the folks who decided to take this trade because we closed below support. So you had two opportunities, slightly aggressive, but based on sound reasoning, or you're a line-to-line trader. We closed below support during a downtrend. I'm believing we're going to go down to the next support. That's it. Pick your poison if you choose to trade that way. That's all there is to it. Okay, we made it down to that next support. And guess what we did? We closed below that support. Now at this point, we're trying to tell everybody, hey, slide your stops down. Okay, just slide them down. Don't give up too much of the profit so you can see if you can make more money on this trade. Otherwise, get out at your planned target. Right? You don't have to give up too much of your profit if you want to try and hold on for more. That's what stop losses are for. We get through it, and we stay pretty close to it and make it down to the next support and to the next support. But after 12 o'clock, guys, I don't know if you look at this chart right here and say, oh, that's so clean. Oh, yeah, I would have crushed it in this. Don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself. Now, there ain't nothing to talk about on this chart after 12 o'clock. Okay, nothing. You know, oh, yeah, I'm crushing it on calls until you're not. And I don't care if you were in calls up here. If you made it back here, you probably didn't even get back 50% of what you may have once been up here. After a move like this late in the day, zero chance you're coming back from that. Unless this move bounces here and ends up way up here somewhere. Guys, these hurt this late in the day. All right. So in my opinion, from 12 o'clock to close, those last 4 hours of this particular market is when our win rate just steadily declined. For those of you who chose to keep trading because you didn't make enough money on your first trade or your second trade or your third trade or your fourth trade, whatever it is. But recognizing a chart worth not worth trading, it's really important. And this is one of those charts, okay? This is one of those charts. The sporadicness of these moves, zero chance you didn't get caught in that if you're trying to trade this, okay? So just be mindful, guys. Think about the things I tell you. I'm trying to make you see your weaknesses without even realizing you have those weaknesses. You need to learn to avoid putting yourself in the position to face your weaknesses. Many of you don't even realize that you're taking your second trade of the day because your weakness is greed. If your first trade of the day was green and that's not good enough for you, nobody else has told you that it's not good enough except for you. So you want more. That's fine. Go ahead and trade more. But what are you going to do if that trade doesn't work out and it takes away what you once had? Do you think the emotions get easier at that point? Hell no, they don't. You know what you're going to do? You're going to take another trade. I'm going to take another trade and hope that it makes me green again. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But let's just say it does. Is that green you just got green enough, or are you going to take a fourth trade? Are you going to take a fourth trade to make it greener? But what if it doesn't get greener? What if it goes red? Really red? Dude, guys, I watch people do it every day. I'm begging you to be aware of where your weaknesses are, face them, so you know that they exist instead of turning a blind eye to them, because it's the reason you're struggling so much with this business. You're trying to trade around your weaknesses instead of just avoiding them in the first place. With that said, we're going to wrap it up. Hope you guys got some valuable information in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, there's a link down below. We'd love to have you. Check us out. 7 days completely for free. If you like what you get for those 7 days, well, it'd be awesome if you decided to become a paying member. There are perks to doing so, I promise. That's pretty much it. You can check out our website at www.trading-decoded.com if you want. And otherwise, we're going to come back at it again tomorrow. So hope you all had a fantastic day today. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Till tomorrow, love you guys. See ya.